teams blanking the other in those victories. Joining us via Zoom to preview those two fixtures is our football analyst, former TNT international, and no stranger to the CONCACAF Gold Cup football, Brent Sancho. Brent, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if we anticipated these semi-final matchups, did we? But here we have these matchups, and I suggest that maybe the USA and Mexico are firm favorites ahead of this one.
Yes, a little bit higher than maybe. They are definitely full favorites. When you look at the likes of course, Guatemala, Honduras, certainly not expected to be there, especially Guatemala pulling off a victory against Canada, albeit, of course, in the circumstances that they did a 10-man Canadian team and then pushing on to win that game. And yeah, they got through that. And then, of course, Honduras surprising last year finalists in Panama. So, yeah, two surprise teams in there coming up against the two teams that we kind of expected to be there. And I have to put a little bit of an asterisk next to the US team because they were in quite poor form coming into this tournament, as many would know. But they've been able to show the sort of resilience that is synonymous with American soccer. And that's got them to where they are now. So, yeah, it should be intriguing.
I guess Panama will be the most disappointed team because they have shown a trajectory in the last couple of years that we anticipated them possibly reaching the final, right?
Yeah, I really did think so. And of course, in their group play, you would have felt that as well in what we've seen from Panama. And yes, when you talk of the whole of what they've done so far in CONCACAF football, this is a team, and as many here in Trinidad and Tobago would remember, lost 7-1 many moons ago in the Queen's Park Oval. Wow, have they come on greatly, the Panamanians. And they've shown that, not just in the way that they play, but the type of results that they've been able to pick up. And I think once you keep seeing them move on, and of course, the way that they've applied themselves, especially in this tournament. They have been, of course, and you go back to that victory against the Americans last year, they have been a team in the ascendancy. Certainly, that loss against Honduras, and albeit Honduras did, of course, deserve their victory, was a bit of a blip on their paper. But they would be the most disappointed. It's quite safe to say. So I may even add, though, Donald, the noise that Jesse Marsh was making, the Canadian coach coming into this one, having a fully fit squad coming into this fixture, and arguably the strongest team on paper, he would probably be right up there with the Panamanians.
Yeah, I mean, CONCACAF is a weird little confederation in football, right? Because, yeah, I believe it's shrinking, but I think it's more of a case that the top teams kind of stepping down a couple of pegs, and we've seen it in the quality of football as well as the results because I don't know, Guatemala, yeah, they've been impressive these last few weeks in the competition. And Honduras is even a bit more of a surprise because those teams in particular have lost to even Caribbean teams. So what do you make of the Confed at this point in time based on what we've seen now from the Final Four?
Slim margins, and that's for sure. The margins are reduced. I think coming into this Gold Cup for several of these teams, it really had different meanings for it. I think for the Mexicans, the Canadians, and the Americans, it's really about finding and fine-tuning that team that would host the World Cup. And I think for the ones that have to compete in the World Cup qualifiers is about finding form. It's about finding out about your side. It's about finding out how you would do or give yourself a gauge on how things would relate for the World Cup qualifiers. And you would have to say that when you look at the assignments set by each individual program, when you look at the likes of Guatemala and Honduras in particular, they would come out of this thinking that they have done exceedingly well. They have shown the pedigree. They have shown the type of performances, plucky displays that gets you into a World Cup. We talked about what Trinidad and what Jamaica needs to get into this World Cup, but that's what Guatemala and Honduras have exhibited throughout this Gold Cup. So in terms of looking at the Gold Cup from a broader perspective, you would suggest that the real winners here are those two teams that sit in the semifinals because they are showing the sort of form that can get them possibly into the finals. Because I don't think both Mexico and the USA can look at these two games and think it's a done deal. Certainly not by the way these two teams have performed in the Gold Cup. And I think from a World Cup trajectory, you would think from a Guatemala and a Honduras perspective, if they are to continue in the type of show that they have presented so far in the Gold Cup, they may feel that they have a chance of qualifying to the World Cup as well.
Yeah, and when we think about Honduras specifically, they have a fully fit squad. They're going up against a Mexico that's missing Luis Chavez because of an ACL injury, along with a couple other players. So I feel like Honduras goes into this one, Brent, thinking, we can try to exploit simple things as injuries.
Yeah, they can. And look, I think you have to. They were good value for money against Panama. I think of all the semi-finalists, and of course these two teams that are considered underdogs coming to it, I think they look more the part of a genuine underdog, of a genuine dark horse in the competition. And they didn't start off too well, the Hondurans in the tournament, and they didn't come into the tournament in so much form. But what they have done, Mariah, is find themselves in the tournament. They started this identity to this Honduran team. It's more aligned to what we are used to from an Honduran national team, a team that obviously is very difficult to beat and does possess the athleticism and attacking force to cause a major upset, and that's what we've seen so far. So yes, I think coming into this one against a Mexican team, I think that didn't perform too well against Saudi Arabia. I thought the first half was quite poor. And again, it's a Mexican team that is not necessarily their A team, more a B/C team. I think Honduras would feel that out of the two semifinals, if it was to have an upset, it may come in that match.
Yeah, well, looking forward. Those are two really exciting semifinals. Brent, want to thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll talk again really soon. Thank you. All right, Brent Sancho there, former Soca Warrior, and of course one of our SportsMax football analysts. We're up on a break and we'll be back with our interaction.